Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States. And I have for you today a simple card using the Lighthouse Point stamp set, which is part of our online retreat that myself and a group of demonstrators are involved with, where we each do a simple card and an avid card. So again, this is the simple one, and I've used Lighthouse Point. Let's get started. So here is the card that I created using that wonderful Lighthouse Point stamp set. And I only used the stamp set on this because, again, this is a simple card, so we're using some simple stamping. Comes together very quickly. We are starting with a basic white card base, standard A2 or A4 size. Grab my bone folder, and we're going to put that to the side. I have also cut my first layer, which is the same size as the card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, or 10.5 centimeters by 14.9 centimeters. And you will, if you notice, they're actually different shades. I meant to use Daffodil Delight on this one, but I actually used So Saffron by mistake. It does work because there's just that little bit of Daffodil Delight, but if you want it to match, then you need your Daffodil Delight. So we'll put that on right away as well. For that, I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. And we'll line it right up with the card front. And then we'll put that aside to let it dry while we work on the main part of the card. And now I've cut a piece of basic white, and it is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, or 10 centimeters by 14.4 centimeters. And we're doing some two-step stamping, which means we're doing some layering. You always want to start with the darker ink. So I'm starting with Pacific Point, and that'll be for our detail. I did start with the sand on this one, but because you do the darker one next and then the lighter, it makes it a little more challenging to line up. So the easiest way to do it is just to start with that darkest color and kind of work backwards. So we will stamp this about here in the middle. Next, we'll bring in Balmy Blue for the main part of the lighthouse. Make sure I get some good ink on there. Looks pretty well covered. And what you're going to do is line up this line with that little line right there on the other lighthouse stamp. So like this. And then lining it up, of course, with the impressions that were made with the first stamp. So we're done with our Balmy Blue. And next we'll bring in Sahara Sand to make our little, to ground our lighthouse, make our little sand. I love the photopolymer. You can line it right up perfectly every time. Now we'll bring in Daffodil Delight for the beacon on the lighthouse. And last but not least, we'll bring in Pacific Point again, and we'll use that for our sentiment. And I'm going to make sure it was a little bit light in the middle with ink. So I'm going to try and make sure it's nicely inked so that it's even all the way through. My ink pad might need a little bit of re-inking. And we'll line it up, make sure it's straight. I'd say that's a little better, but I do think my ink pad needs a little bit of re-inking. But I think it will be okay. And now we're going to bring in the Stampin' Seal. And I decided to turn it at an angle just for a little bit of interest, but you can also do it straight. So the outside of our card is done, but we don't want to forget the inside. So I'm going to bring that Pacific Point ink pad back one more time. And for the inside sentiment also comes from this set that says, "You are so loved." And again, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get good ink on this because we're going to stamp 3 times without re-inking to create an ombre effect. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that, lined up nicely. And that is it. That is card number 1. That is our simple one. Stamps, ink, and paper. So we'll step it up a little bit at a time, and depending on your comfort level, you can do the simple card or you can do a more avid or kind of decked out card. So here's what I used to make the card. I used this Lighthouse Point stamp set. It does have a companion set of dies, but because I was doing a simple card, I didn't use it this time. So definitely stay tuned. I have other videos on my YouTube channel using the same stamp set, but they are more stepped up from this one. So there'll be kind of a slightly stepped up one and then an avid or more stepped up one. So look for those on my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching. Thanks also for joining us for our online retreat. We appreciate that as well. Those of us who were involved, the different demonstrators who are involved. We will see you again soon. Take care. Happy stamping.